And now it's time for the ChaosSearch session here at the Intelligent Data Summit, where we'll learn effective ways in 2022 to help your data lake deliver responsive, impactful analytics and remove stress on IT teams. Our speaker this morning from ChaosSearch is Thomas Hazel, founder and CTO and chief scientist, and we're glad to have him with us this morning. Thomas, welcome.
Vance, great to be here. Thank you.
Thomas has long been an innovator in data and cloud technologies and now brings those disciplines together. As we'll hear this morning, he holds patents in distributed algorithms, virtualization, and database science. His session this morning, activating your data lake to deliver insights. You know, I think we all know the analytics lifecycle is under constant pressure these days to deliver better insights and faster insights. In fact, fast deployments, better access, less pipelining, and migration are daily demands of today's digital native enterprise. Thomas is here to acquaint us with a better way to handle those things in a way that will be delivering assured results and low risk. He's going to talk to us about how to create an enterprise-wide data lake with your existing cloud object storage. Let me recommend you download his slides. You can get them, just click that big red button on the view screen. We've also got some other great assets for you, great white papers, free trial, and other sorts of ways to get you more familiar with the ChaosSearch technology. Really worth your time. And we love your questions. So to connect with Thomas, just type in the submit a question area. So with that, Thomas, let's hand it to you and tell us about how to activate our data lake to deliver insights.
Great, Vance. Much appreciated. You know, activating data lakes today now seems like a really hot term. Data lakes are hot, and we've kind of done let's call it a 2.0 with respects to data lakes. And, you know, I would say that there's a lot of challenges out there, and we'll talk to those challenges and how ChaosSearch uniquely addresses those challenges to ultimately what all organizations want, deliver those insights, those operational security, business intelligence insights. And so before we get into what we're doing here at ChaosSearch and the challenges of deriving those insights, let me do a quick summary of what ChaosSearch is all about. We like to say we help organizations know better. Now, that's a play on word, but we activate your data lake for analytics. And we do that by indexing all your cloud data that you're streaming into your lake, and we render it fully searchable, enabling analytics at scale. And here's the key thing: massively reducing the time, cost, and complexity. Now, that's always the challenges of deriving value. How we did it is we have patented technology both on the index side and the architecture to deliver a service that uniquely in one platform goes after multiple use cases, not siloed. Log analytics, BI analytics, ML analysis, all on your company data, both from an operational and business intelligence perspective. And again, that allows you, the customer, to realize the benefits of your data. Now, we have a wonderful list of customers. We have a few here, some big names that are using our data lake platform on their environment, on their setup. And we're replacing existing solutions, replacing the Elk stack, replacing Presto and BI solutions to derive that value that's so important in your organization. And we'll get into it within these slides. Now, let's first go over the problem. Even if you have a data lake, data lakes are wonderful. We know that they're cost effective, they're infinitely elastic, secure, reliable. However, there's still a lot of toil to derive those insights. And those insights come from the CEO, the CISOs, et cetera. And so you have all these different players, the CTO saying, how do we set up these logging and BI solutions? The architect has to design these elements. The data engineer has to set up the pipelines to get it into those systems. The DBA has to set up and design those solutions, and the DevOps have to manage and provision it. And don't forget the security people and the QA people, where they want to make sure that everything's secure. This doesn't take hours and days. It takes weeks and months to do. And imagine if you had a new workload or you need to change your workload. All these people need to get involved. And this is where ChaosSearch uniquely comes into it, is that these players have a tool, have a platform to do it instantly, to do it virtually, to derive those insights that we all know organizations need in the lifeblood of our business. So what if you could automate that flow that I just showed you at massive scale? But here's the key thing: reducing the time and costs to achieve it, getting those insights without changing any of your use cases, your workloads. And that's a core fundamental belief in us, is if we have to do something new or you have to learn something new, that's another impedance mismatch. There's a gate here. And so our vision is stream all your data to a data lake, and we unlock it by automating that environment in your account to access the insights that you need. So what is the ChaosSearch solution? Now, if I had to summarize the ChaosSearch platform into one slide, this is it. Now you see here, we have Amazon, Google, we're going after Azure this year in 2022. But the vision is, and again, cloud storage now is a de facto standard for storing all your data. And what we do is we put a service, a layer on top of your storage to derive insights. So you, the customer, just streams your data into your cloud storage. It's a natural act shoot. A lot of these services just have a click of a button to stream it in, all this tooling. That's the easy part. The complexity is putting into siloed solutions to do it. But what if you could just stream it in? And then our service, and we'll show you some demonstrations, we automatically discover what you're streaming in. We automatically index it, discover the schema, and then you focus on publishing access either through our data refinery with RBAC control and removing those data pipelines, the data movement. It's all within your account. So you stream your data in, our service indexes it, and you publish, and all the data resides in your cloud storage. So you can focus on what you want to focus on, the analytics. The analytics of, say, the ELK stack for doing log analytics, or BI, et cetera, ML. And so what we have done is created a multi-model platform, and you get to choose the API to your data that you wish to achieve without having to re-index, without having to stand up silo solutions in one platform and one service, all through our Chaos platform. Now, that sounds all good, but how easy it is. You made it sound easy, but it really is. There's really just 1, 2, 3 steps into this process. So as I mentioned, let's use Amazon as an instance. So if I use S3, I mean GCP as well, where these are the best place to store your data. It's provable. Amazon's first service was S3, and it took off. It's the core to every cloud platform because it's so cost effective. It's so easy. It's secure and reliable. So to stream your data in, no transformation, no ETLing, just stream your data in. That's step 1. Step 2, at any point in time in that process of streaming data in, connect our service. We're a SaaS solution where you just say, log in, you set up a cloud formation. It's literally connected in less than 5 minutes to set up access to your environment. You provide a roll-on policy to where you want us to see the data and a location to write our unique indices for future search inquiries. And once you've done that, we index the data, whether it's already there, static, live as data streams in, and we discover the schema. We normalize it all for you so that you can worry about and focus on the post-publishing, the consumption. And this is where the data refinery comes in, where you can say, you know what, I want to transform this data. Maybe I want ETS data virtually. The advantage of that is, imagine if you had a petabyte of data and you had to transform or change the schema. That could take a long time and very expensive. What if you did it post-index? So our philosophy is index everything, index fully, and then do all this data refining post-index, whether it's aggregations, transformations, doing correlations. And we'll talk a little bit about this, but that JSON explosion problem, if you're not familiar with it, go talk to your IT engineers about how to CloudTrail or a nested JSON array can explode from one row object to a million. So this is something that we uniquely address. But again, for those people who worry about InfoSec and security, every access point, every view is RBAC control. Once you have this set up, now you're focusing on what you need to be focused on, the APIs and the visualization tools that you know and love. So we're not teaching folks new tools, new capability. It's the well-known tools like Kibana, Grafana, Tableau, Looker. into your data. What we do is the hard stuff. What we do is the scale, is the data management so that you can worry about the insights. So simple in and insights out. And you'll see value at terabyte scale within an hour, maybe half an hour or less. And that's something quite unique. And we have customers at petabyte scale, trillions of events, et cetera. So let's give some examples of before and after what it may look like. So on the log side of things, the operational side, so there's BI, there's operational. Both these worlds have to play into the security, the performance, the operational, as well as the BI. Well, the Elk Stack is a very well-known technology platform to do log analytics. Now, it's a great tool. Why did the Elasticsearch database take off? Because that hunting, that discovery, the alerting, the dashboards, the visualizations, it's wonderful. However, the technology wasn't designed for log analytics. The Lucene index, you fully index it, it explodes in size. And this requires people to build out different clusters because at scale, it can fall over. It's hard to manage. So they set up individual clusters to keep an environment healthy. But this limits both the complexity of scale that you want to do, the retention, because every single time you double your data side, you double your costs, you double your complexity. And we all know that the Elk Stack is hard to keep up. And if you imagine all these siloed solutions that you can't cross correlate, what if you had one unified solution where those exact same data streams are pushed into your lake and you get access by the same users, DevOps, SecOps, et cetera, all in one platform. And you can have views into all the different streams that come in and spin them up without having to worry about the weeks, if not months. And imagine if you have 10 terabytes of data coming in per day, you have to provision the storage, you have to load balance your cluster. Those are all real challenges in the Elk log analytical world. And we do that fully automated. And the benefits of our platform is cloud storage is infinitely scalable. We don't have to worry about the storage provisioning. We just activate it. We make it hot. We make it available using a well-known API like Elastic. And we have a built-in Kibana interface, actually the open search Kibana interface that everyone is using today. And we've replaced Splunk and other solutions as well, but we selected Kibana because it's so well adopted, it's so well used. And again, addressing that time, cost, and complexity. A lot of our customers worry about, I only can store 7 days worth of data because I can't afford anything else. We allow customers, because it's unlimited retention, 3 months, 6 months, a year, without changing their cost structure. And that's quite unique within our platform. Now, that's the operational side. What about the line of business, the business side of things? Well, if you know the data pipelines for all these data feeds, this is very similar to log analytics, where you have to set up the pipelines, configure the stores, set up all this scaffolding, and then put into a database. And then this database, again, is where a lot of the challenges are: sharding, schema management, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What we've seen is this can take, again, weeks and months to set up. Imagine if you had a new workload. Your users, your internal organization wants that data now. And again, if you know that it's going to take a week to set up, and particularly at scale, months, it's a real problem. So with our vision, we've automated all this process. So again, to stream your data sources into cloud storage. That's it. No storage provisioning, no configuration, no load balancing your storage, let alone the expense of high performance SSDs. And with our platform, we have the scaffolding and cataloging and database fully automated with our solution. Now, in this case, these data streams can be published through a SQL Presto API. Presto is kind of the up and coming API for cloud in analytics. But here's the thing. We have none of the Presto pain, the Parquet costs. We have a new architecture, a new index technology that looks like a Presto cluster, as I mentioned, looks like an Elastic cluster. But again, we've done it in a way that provides the performance, the scale, and the time to results that are unmatched. But notice the same tooling that you use in the pre scenario, The post scenario is where we don't have you change anything. And here's the thing, no data movement. Now, I'm not trying to beat up on any competitors, but Snowflake leverages cloud object storage as well. However, that first query out of cache is slow. I mean, if you have 10 terabytes in a big instance, it could take an hour to load everything through like a complex order and aggregation. With our architecture, with our technology, that first query is fast. Why does that matter? The reduction in cost, the increase in scale, and the performance that everyone needs and everybody wants. And so just to build it out, what if you could take the weeks and months and change it to days, if not minutes? And we have customers that once they build into our data platform, they're adding workloads within hours. And imagine if you have somebody, if it's a security scenario or marketing sales need information, imagine if you deliver that day and not say, oh, we'll get to it, but deliver value immediately. You need the lake to get easy in, but you need ChaosSearch to get the value out. So let's take a look at ChaosSearch in action. Now, this is some screenshots, but it really shows you the uniqueness about the ChaosSearch platform. So step one, as I indicated, stream your data into your lake and we take over. Here is a lens into our first tab, storage. We're quite unique in our data lake viewpoint. We give you a lens into your storage. So you see here on the left is a bucket, and we have this term called object grouping. This is a filter, an organization, a way to organize and catalog your data, but it's also a place to index that data. And what you see here is a variety of object groupings underneath this Chaos demo data sets that we've organized CloudTrail data. Now, why did I bring up CloudTrail data in this demonstration? Is because if you know CloudTrail data, it's JSON based and it's very complex. If you try to put CloudTrail data fully represented into Elastic or a relational system, you have to fully expand it, flatten the data to do any type of advanced analytics like aggregations. Well, this is a real problem, and people choose not to put all that data in because of that expansion. And typically what they do is they choose not to index, or they put proprietary APIs to index or access the JSON blobs information. What we have done is uniquely have you store and index the data in that full representation. Why? Because if you don't have what's going on, you're at risk. And so I showed CloudTrail and I had this H group highlighted here is because we've horizontally scaled this data, very small, very efficient. And then we go to the data refinery to expand all those nested aggregations so that you can use your standard APIs to access it. As you can see here, we've discovered the schema, the attributes, and here's a key thing. The attributes can change over time. We manage that for you. You go to the data refinery to change it. You go to the data refinery to transform it, to ultimately publish either in the Elastic API as an index pattern or a relational table in SQL. And so it's just a click through a wizard and go, and you're off to the races. No more complexity of data pipeline, no more complexity of siloed database solutions that have to be provisioned and scaled. You just worry about the wizard indexing, and you're off to the races. So the next phase is the refinery. Now, I just have a couple of screenshots here, but I have two screenshots. One is the JSON array transformation. As I mentioned, the ability to select, again, if you know the JSON problem, we call it JSON Flex, is a feature we have where if you Google that, it's a major problem to do analysis of complex JSON objects. And let's be honest, JSON is getting more and more popular. But imagine if you can create different views into that index data and you expand what you care about. Maybe you want 5, 6, 7 views, each one having a different expansion so that your tooling, SQL, Elastic, don't have to have proprietary or special case scenarios to do the analysis. That's a big power of the ChaosSearch solution. The other diagram here is the ability to transform existing data into new schema all on the fly. Imagine if you had a petabyte of data, you had to re-index things or re-schema things. That's really unattainable, and people choose not to do it. And so that's a lot of that planning and time that we talked about with Chaos Search. It's virtual, it's instant. So what you'll see here is a screen that is transforming a URL, actually one of our marketing campaign URLs, where we want to pull out campaign information as well as where it came from and make them attributes, source, where it came from, as well as the campaign associated with that particular marketing effort, and then publish it. And so what we do is you define the views with RBAC control. You can do it by group, by user, so only you can see what you want to see. And now they're accessible in Elastic via Kibana or SQL via Looker or any other tooling that you want. And then from there, this is where we say, here's the keys. You take over. Use your tooling that you know and love. Now, we have built in Kibana into our solution. And so if you know Kibana, a lot of log analytic people do. You can use our service, Looker, Tableau. You can log on and you connect to our service, Kibana, like it was an Elastic cluster. And really, from indexing, few minutes to set up, refinery, few minutes set up. And this is where you should spend all your time, is analyzing your data. And what's unique about our multi-model capability is, imagine if you don't know what you're looking for on the BI side, you can go to Kibana and do the hunting, do that wildcard search hunting of all these different sources, and then go, okay, I found what I want. I found who needs to use it, create a view, add in users and publish it. And they show up as relational tables in a Looker, Tableau, etc. And so the key thing that we want to take away from Chaos Search is data lakes are brilliant. Data lakes are wonderful, but there's still a lot of toil and time and cost associated to derive value. What we've done is automated, simplified, and reduced that cost. The wow is replacing all that complexity. The simplicity is you're using the same tools, using the same use cases without that cost, time, and complexity. So to summarize what we've done here at Chaos Search, we like to say the Chaos Search Effect, the advantage is unlimited retention. We don't break the bank because you need that data. We have a lot of customers that we're searching for how do they do their business or their use case, their application, or their security at the cost that a traditional system would have. We provide unlimited retention. You just index it up front for our law case, and on the SQL, it's both index and or consumption. But here's the thing, no data movement. Why does that matter? The time to set things up. We talked about Snowflake, that first query is slow. That first query needs to be fast. And that's what we've done. And then like anything, it has to be cost effective for your business. You can't afford it. You can't debug security scenarios, application performance scenarios, let alone business needs, and free up your resources. Now your company can focus on what they should be focused on. And that's your business, not the infrastructure, the toil to get access to your data. And as you can imagine, it accelerates your innovation. It delivers on your customer experience. We have customers that actually white label our solution and they log into our portal that we can RBAC control to get insights into the customer's data. And they're just a portal. We improve ROI. We have so much documentation on how we reduce the overall cost of your solution. And here's the thing, with our multi-model platform, you don't have to look for the next technology because, oh, now I need this, I need that. We are one data platform with multiple APIs for all those different use cases that, again, leverages your data lake that you own and to drive those insights. And, a little fun photograph here is turn your IT department into superheroes. I know that's all they want to do, and it's a challenge to do it. So I want to thank everyone for the time. Please come to Chaos Search, and we have a free trial. You can get up and going literally within 5 minutes to analyze your cloud door. Check it out, and really appreciate the time and hope you learned something today. Thank you.
Thomas, a really great session, really insightful look at tackling a really big problem here in 2022 about how to scale our analytics without having to put a lot more stress on IT teams. Great session.
Thanks, Vance. These are big challenges and you need some innovation to address it. I think what we're doing here at Chaos Search has uniquely done it and hope the listeners have seen that here today.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, I think we've got a couple of different types of questions to explore a little bit more about how it works and the kind of benefits that you're seeing. Let's kick off with this one about the idea of scale. Can you share some numbers or use cases of what types of queries or outcomes your adopters are seeing so far and how it's making a difference versus what they're using today?
Well, let's start with scale. I would say big data has been solved, but the time cost complexity hasn't been. And so we have customers, just one data stream is petabytes, trillions of rows of information. So we did build a system for scale, but cost effective, quick, and easy to do. But with that said, we can start small with our customers. And we all know this is that you may have small data per day, but if you want long retention, it really adds up. So we built a scalable solution because we're based on pure cloud storage. We don't use any SSDs or all of that complexity. It's pure cloud storage. And that really helps us scale nicely.
That's a great response especially for the IT team, but let's kind of take scale from the other dimension. What about your ability to support BI or analysts that are banging against all this data? What are you finding there?
Well, the great thing about our cloud service is that we scale compute to both index, as we indicated, but also the queries. We have customers that have thousands of users querying their data. Actually, as I mentioned earlier, is that we have a security company that we're the portal and they have tens of thousands of users logging in, querying our system. Why can we do that? Because we can elastically scale the system, unlike, say, other more clustered oriented solutions where it's fixed. Imagine if you had a Black Friday or a Cyber Monday or just a really busy day for whatever you're doing. We can scale up and out instantly because of our unique architecture. So you'll bring it on, bring the users. We're an elastic dynamic system.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Let's talk about how to get to that nirvana from where people are right now. You mentioned a couple of times, Thomas, the idea of modernizing or disrupting the pipeline. Question here says, what happens to our existing cloud object store and legacy pipeline? Do we re-architect or refactor or repoint our data? What is this process?
No, great question. And what surprised me is when we were building out our solution and talking to customers, we were saying, would you leverage cloud object storage to store your data? And they said, we're already doing it because we're worried about our pipeline failing or our database failing. And it's so easy to get data into cloud storage. It's so cost effective. And so the pipelines typically don't change other than just pointing your pipeline or either turning off your existing pipeline to your database. Now, typically what we do is do A/B comparisons where you're streaming your data to, say, cloud object storage. You have, let's say, an L cluster, and you test us the exact same queries, the exact same data with your expensive, complicated cluster and Chaos Search. You do A/B comparisons because here's the key thing. We don't want you to change anything, the same dashboards, the same queries. What we've done is remove the time, cost, complexity associated with that. And so the key takeaway is we're removing the toil, the complexity, not the APIs, not your use case. So the premise is don't change anything.
Thomas, this is fantastic. The more we get into it, it sounds like you've architected Chaos Search to be a truly agnostic as possible cloud service.
Absolutely. I mean, we want to use open APIs, right? APIs that you'll see today as well tomorrow. If we had a proprietary system, well, then we're locking people in. We're unlocking. And here's the great thing. It's multiple APIs. It's multi-model. So let's say you want this data accessible in SQL. If you want data accessible in, say, search, you now can get to it with open APIs, not proprietary tooling. And that's been our vision since day one is as new tools come up, we'll verify, validate them, and you're off to the races.
You mentioned index first a couple times. The question reads, does indexing also help us correlate data across multiple stores?
A great question. We created purposefully index a file format that can make cloud object storage fast, hot. Unlike, say, Parquet or Lucene, they weren't designed for cloud storage; they're designed for SSDs. But along with this innovation is the ability to correlate efficiently. So if you're from the Elastic world, you're not correlating, right? You're denormalizing the data and trying to figure it out. We allow Elastic users to correlate in our data refinery. And so the ability to say the hunting, the correlation, and publishing views, tables, index patterns, all one solution really simplifies the individual's IT professional's life, the data engineer, the database person, the DBA, to access the data they need. And they often need it now, particularly when there's a security incident and you're trying to figure things out. Imagine trying to spin up a cluster to get to the access of data. You're at risk. And so this index technology has allowed us to make indexing efficient, made indexing flexible, that data refinery, and then bringing the data sources together with well-known APIs so that you don't have to move data, you don't have to denormalize to get access.
Really cool, Thomas. Let's pivot a bit from the IT side to the actual user side. A lot of benefits there too. The question here says, is ChaosSearch query tool independent? In other words, can we get full value from ChaosSearch by simply using the tools and queries we now know?
That is so crucial to our solution. If you're using SQL, we published the Presto doc. It is now the cloud API for SQL. Elasticsearch is the search API. And as we come out this year with advanced ML, we're using PyTorch, TensorFlow. We're choosing APIs that you don't have to retool, that you don't have to select a different tooling or visualization. We want you to use the exact same APIs, the exact same tools you know and love, so that day one, you're operational. And you've heard this time and time again. I have to re-educate my employees to use a new tool. That adds risk, that adds time. And we're an API company. If you really want to summarize it, we're a database API company that transformed cloud storage into analytical database. But here's the thing. We're always going to publish more and more APIs to your data, so you don't have to move it, you don't have to transform it, you don't have to set up siloed databases to access it.
I see time is running out, but just one or two more quick points. It's kind of the elephant in the room, I guess, the idea about governance and security and protection and things, given you're a cloud service. What is your architecture, and does it rely purely on ChaosSearch, or does it also look to AWS or all the other cloud platforms?
No, it's really a really important question today specifically. Now, just to be full disclosure, we're SOC 2 fully compliant. We have to be, right? Because we have access to customer data. But unlike most companies where you move the data into their account, the data is stored in your account, your access. You provide us privileges to connect to it, read only. And when we index this data, we write those indices into your account. Now, what's interesting is you have full rights, you own all your data, but we have the ability to isolate at rest. Let's say you're not allowed to have certain customers or companies in the same representation. We can separate that at rest, let alone RBAC controls, API access, or views. And that's really important. We also have the ability to support GDPR requirements where maybe a region in the world that data only can live. We also can synchronize regions.
Thomas, this has been a fantastic session, really eye-opening, I think, for a lot of people. As we close, I see time is expiring, but let's just kind of leave on this note. Give us some tools for how people can go hands-on and play with ChaosSearch.
So what we need is someone in the department of DevOps or IT that have access to the data, particularly cloud object storage and that company. And it's reach out to us. We'll set up a free trial. Ideally, we'll even set up a white glove POV where we'll help you through the process. You, within 5 minutes, will work you through the setup. And then your consumers, your business side of things or your security SecOps side of things can now play with the product at the exact same way, the exact same capability that they're already doing, but again, without that time, cost, and complexity we've been mentioning so much here.
Thomas Hazel, founder, CTO, and chief scientist at ChaosSearch. Thanks very much for a really terrific session. Really, I think opening the eyes of how people can get into this new world of rapid fire analytics and at the same time help the BI people totally scale with all sorts of data in a way that's not going to put too much strain on IT at all. So, really great session. We thank you very much for learning more about it and especially for taking so many questions from our audience.
Thanks, Vance. You're always a great host. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's totally our pleasure. And just a note, Thomas mentioned that we've got ways that you can learn more about the technology as well as even go hands-on with a trial. We've got links right here in the breakout room where you can take it. And we know this is innovative technology and you might want to catch up on that. So we've got another great list of assets and PDFs that you can take a look at to school yourselves on the architecture behind Chaos Search. Really great package of resources. And as you can tell, there is a ton of innovation going on there with Thomas and his team at Chaos Search. Here is a slide that'll take you to some other great resources. Download Thomas's slides. All these links will be live and take you directly to the Chaos Search website. Thanks again, everyone, and especially thanks for some great questions.